Welcome to The Current by TreasureCoast.com, where we discuss interesting people, places, and happenings on Florida's Treasure Coast.
Yeah, but thanks again. I really appreciate you being on, Sarah. And I think it would be a good idea to tell everybody about the Humane Society, what you all do, the mission. We were just talking about it before we started recording about how most people think of it as pet adoption and how there's so many other things that you do there. So that's probably a good place to start.
Just like you said, everyone, they know we're a shelter. They know that we adopt out animals, but we are so much more than a shelter. And that's in our mission statement, to nurture the bond between people and pets. So we do have a very robust therapy program where we have certified therapy dogs, about 100 of them that go out into the community. They go to assisted living centers and hospitals and visit, people of all ages. We have low-cost obedience classes for the public, low-cost spay and neuter. We do spay and neuters for rabbits as well, which a lot of people don't realize. And volunteer and foster, and just a ton of different opportunities.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw that when I was on your website. It said something, I probably had it written down, but there was something like over 4,000 spays and neuters last year.
Yeah.
And we actually, our dog just was spayed at the Humane Society recently, so I kind of got to see it in person.
Yeah, so we have vets 7 days a week at our shelter. We have a full-time veterinarian and then also 2 other vets that come in. And we do spay and neuters for in-house animals and public animals. So literally every single day we're spaying and neutering animals.
Oh, wow. And what all goes on in the adoption center? I mean, because there's always people kind of moving and doing their thing. And I know you guys have like a big renovation going on in is it the outside?
It's going to be the interior. So we're renovating. We're actually breaking ground this year, and we're going to be renovating our dog adoption area, cat adoption area, our critters, which is like a small animal, rabbits, guinea pigs. We're renovating the intake area, so it's going to look completely different. It's going to be state of the art. It's going to be beautiful, and we're really, really excited. But basically, what all goes into it is we have over 60 employees that basically help run our shelter, but then over 500 volunteers that also are here every single day helping with everything. So there's always moving parts. There's animal surrenders, there's hoarding cases that come in, there's adoptions happening, there's return to owners where we try to find stray animals, their owners. And then, of course, like we were just talking about spay and neuters, the classes going on. I mean, there's a million different moving parts every single day. And it's just very exciting because we're making such a difference between, animals and their people's lives through it all.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Can I ask, what do you think is the most, and maybe this is a personal question, but or it varies from person to person, but what do you think are the most challenging aspects of it? You mentioned returning pets to owners. I'm sure that can be like an emotional and challenging thing at times. And then, I mean, what parts of it do you see as more challenging?
Challenging parts is basically if we have to say no to an adopter, and it's not very often, but then every once in a while we just know that there's like not a good fit for a home, and of course that person is very upset with us. But we also try to educate those people as much as we can. We give them references and we show them what we have to offer. And then eventually, hopefully, we can find them a pet if they're capable of caring for a pet, if that makes sense. But that's always the most challenging part. And then there's situations where animal control had to seize animals from certain homes, or a stray comes in and they're in really terrible shape. And that's just always very hard on our hearts. Just, if obviously we all work here because we love animals. So seeing animals, especially if they were owned animals and they come in terrible shape, it's heartbreaking. But then we also love to see those recovery stories and the before and afters, and it just makes it all worthwhile, what we do.
Yeah. The success stories. I can see that being a big payoff in your position. Yeah, I always go in and anytime I'm in, whether it was the time when I had visited you all fairly recently, or we went to it used to be the Humane Society in Fort Pierce. It now
Hmm.
is the Fort Pierce Animal Adoption Center.
Adoption center.
I think
They're
it's called.
wonderful. Yes. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, they are. They do an awesome job up there. And anytime it's like you go by some of these, especially dogs for me, where they've been there for a long time, or they're maybe older and they seem sweet, and it's like, okay,
It's heartbreaking.
you don't want to like jump the gun, you don't want to go on your emotions. Yeah, yeah, it is. But I'm sure you see the success stories
Yeah.
of pets that maybe are neglected or they don't get the love they deserve, and then they kind of turn the page and open a new chapter. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's worth it, going through those emotions.
Cool. Yeah, and I'm excited to hear about the renovation because I thought it was going to be continuing that outside section and then part of where the dogs are. So you're renovating that whole center.
Yeah, we're doing it in phases. So basically, I'm not sure where exactly we're going to start, but I know that like we're going to do section by section because we're going to have to get all of our animals out. So like when we're completely renovating the dog
Right.
department, for example, we have other spaces that we can put these animals, but there's going to be a big chunk of space that we're going to hopefully be reaching out to fosters and do a big foster push during that time. And then also with the construction,
Got
we
it.
have we're limiting our donations right now we're asking everybody if they can bring the donations to our thrift stores. And that's basically starting immediately because we're going to be breaking that ground any day now. So we have 2 thrift stores in Stewart. So anything that's not pet food, if anyone wants to donate anything, we do ask that they bring them over there.
What role does, and this might be, I'm kind of piggybacking
Mm-hmm.
on what you'd said. What role do the thrift stores play in the operations? I mean, obviously financially
Yes.
they help. How does that side of it, does it all operate as one thing, or is it kind of separate, or what role do they play?
So there's staff at both thrift stores, and they're also run by lots and lots of volunteers. That's actually our biggest volunteer department is at our thrift stores. And yes, they very much financially help with offsetting the costs at our shelter. All of the donations that we receive are then sold, and the profits go back to our shelter, to help the animals for like the emergency medical fund and help keep the lights on at our shelter. So we couldn't
Mhm.
do what we do without our thrift stores. They've been a tremendous help with our mission.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. What is the process like to get fosters? You had mentioned that was a question I was going to ask you, is how, because
Hmm.
that's just another wrench in the, another thing you have to add to like what goes on in a day while you're
Yeah.
renovating what you do with the animals. What is the process
Hmm.
like for fosters? Is it difficult to get fosters? I'm sure it depends on like the type of animal. And then what's the process like for if somebody is listening or watching and they might be interested in something like that?
Yeah, well, social media is our best friends when recruiting for foster. We have a foster group
Mm-hmm.
specifically, it's like a Facebook foster group. Anyone that's interested, it's a public group. They can add themselves to that group. And whenever we have an animal that is in need of foster, we post it immediately on that group page. And then people can either call or comment and say, hey, I'm interested in fostering. And then we'll touch base with them after that. We do have a foster application and a brief interview process. But basically, it's easy to get fosters for the most part for those highly adoptable animals, like the dogs that love dogs, other
Mm-hmm.
dogs and kids and things like that. It's very hard to get
Right.
fosters for like animals that have ringworm, which is, a fungal infection that people can
Mm.
get. It's hard to get fosters
Yeah.
for dogs that might not do well with other dogs. So it really, just like you mentioned, it depends on the animal, basically. So we are always looking for
Mm.
those unicorn fosters that, may not have any other animals in their home that can take a special animal that's not a fan of other pets, basically.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people like that
Yes.
who want to kind of support the
Mm-hmm.
mission, and they have the space and the means to kind of open up their home to a dog or a cat or otherwise. We had fostered, this was probably years ago, but it was always, like litters of kittens. And
Oh,
I'm
those are
sure that's
fun.
probably not the most, yeah, I mean, they were fun. It was like it was in between us having like each child, we have 3 kids, so like between each kid, we would have like a couple litters, and it was like a way to cure baby fever that never worked. But it was a ton of fun. Yeah, it was a ton of fun. And I'm sure, a lot of people would be, when it comes to like a litter of kittens, or,
Oh
you have
yeah.
Beethoven walk through the door and people are up, they're going, oh, great, this is awesome. But some aren't as agreeable, maybe.
Well, for kittens especially, it's almost kitten season, and we're gonna need a lot of cat fosters and kitten fosters, and we've already been seeing them come in. Just last week, we had 2 mama cats with litters of kittens that we were having trouble finding fosters for, and those are the easy ones because mama takes care of the kittens. So we're definitely keeping our eyes out for those kitten fosters.
See, I'll show this. I'll make sure that my wife sees this video. Then who knows? Maybe she'll be on the Facebook group.
And another thing with our foster that a lot of people don't realize is we give foster hours. So if there's any students that are in school that need hours, I know a lot of high schoolers need 100 hours to graduate. We give hours based on how many animals you foster, how many days, and the specific needs of the animal. So like, let's say if it's a medical foster, they'll get 3 hours a day. If it's a socialization foster where you're just like hanging out with a kitty or animal, that's 2 hours a day, things like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting to hear. I'm sure that there's a lot of kids who would see that and feel like, that's a big way to open up the foster pool into people who might be able to, and especially like with kids, they have the energy to deal with it. They don't feel like they have to take a nap or something, or they're not dealing with kids or work or other things that they've got going on.
Yes, my kids love when I bring foster animals home.
I'm sure we never really knew. Like I never had a conversation with my wife about fosters. She would just come home with like the caring thing. I'd be like, where did she go? Where has she been? Like she normally would be home right now. And her car would pull up. She'd go to the back seat and she'd have the crate or box or whatever that they're in. I'd be like, oh, it's time. Yeah, it's time.
That's awesome. I love that.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah. For anybody who's thinking of doing it, like in the moment, obviously it's time consuming, but it's very rewarding and fun. And we have very, very fond memories of when we were doing it.
Yeah.
Who knows? Really maybe we'll jump back on it. Yeah.
Do it. Yeah. We got lots.
Can I ask you? Yeah, I'm sure. I wanted to ask you about, because I saw it on the website. It was something about disaster or helping, like if there's a storm or something coming, that you guys play a role.
Yes.
In that regard, can you tell me about that? Or maybe I'm like off base and I'm not describing it well.
Well, so we're a hurricane disaster relief shelter. So if anybody needs to evacuate or is ordered to evacuate during hurricane season, we can take their animals. We take first responder animals first, and then anyone that can't go to an animal-friendly shelter is advised to bring their animals to us, and we will house them for free. So the people can't stay with their animals, but we will take the animals, and we have staff here that sleep here overnight during the storms to care for their animals.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm sure that's helpful for a lot of people who, like when anxieties are high, if a storm's coming, that's the last thing that you want to be. It's always like top of mind for most people. They're like, we have us and our pet. Like even when people are talking about like if they were going to evacuate, like where's a pet friendly hotel? So that's cool to hear. We originally connected because of some of your events, and I thought that would be cool to touch on too.
Okay.
Can you tell people about the events that you all have going on that are fairly regular or predictable?
Yeah. When is this going to air?
This will probably air around Monday or Tuesday. So it would probably be like March 10th.
Okay. Because our gala is this Saturday. So I'll okay, cool. Got it.
Yeah.
So we have about 8 signature events that we do every year that everyone really love. And then almost every weekend we have third party events where like we'll have a booth set up or someone's doing a give back. But our next event that is going to be coming up is Pickle for Paws, and that's a pickleball tournament. It's on April 27th. Tickets aren't live yet, but just if everyone can just keep an eye on our website, they'll be able to see. And then every summer, which is just coming up as well, is cat yoga. So we have a whole bunch of kittens crawling all over you while you do yoga. We have quarterly bunny grooming events for our Clean and Preen, Bunfest Clean and Preen days. So if anyone has a rabbit or a guinea pig, we do very low cost grooming, and that's quarterly. And we have the pup crawl, which will be on August 2nd. And that's basically you crawl with your dogs and you drink some beer and you have a great time with other animal lovers, basically. There's a ton of events. If anyone's interested in seeing all of our events throughout the year, they can go to our website, and we have that list, and we update that regularly with tickets and things like that.
Right. I was going to say that I know they're all on your website, and so that's probably a good way for people to stay informed on what's coming up. I hadn't heard of, the only one I guess I hadn't heard of is the Pickle for Paws.
Yes, that we started that
Is
2
that what it's
years
called?
ago. Yeah, so this is our third annual Pickle for Paws, and it's
Cool.
a very popular event. I mean, we always sell out every year.
Yeah, that's a great sport to be like kind of tagging onto, because I think that the popularity of it has gone good, and then you can kind of you generate the competitiveness, and then people come out to support. It's a win-win.
It's a very fun one. Yes.
Very cool. That's awesome. What are some other ways that people can support? Or I guess what's the best way someone can support the Humane Society? Is it just like giving money? Is it giving their time? Is it supporting through social medias or some of the events? What is the most productive way for someone who might be watching this, who might have time or money or like influence through social media channels?
I mean, it really depends on the person and what they're able to give. So we can always use monetary donations, and that's towards everything from, buying supplies and food that we need, or going towards our emergency medical fund. We're always looking for people to share our posts, especially we are very good about posting our senior animals, or the ones that have been with us for a very long time. And the majority of the time, those animals that have been with us for like 2+ years, they end up getting adopted because of somebody that shared their post. So we're always looking for help that way. Of course, we can always use volunteers. We can always use fosters and shoppers. Shoppers at our thrift store. If anyone wants to donate, we offer pickup and delivery services. So we have a truck. We can always go there, and all of those donations, they get sold, and the profits go back to our shelter. So there's many, many different ways people can get involved.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting to hear. Can I ask, do you know what donations they prefer?
We can always use furniture at our thrift stores, new or gently used, but they take everything from clothing to pet supplies to Tupperwares and really anything. It's really cool when you walk through a thrift store, because you just don't know what you're going to find. And so if anyone has any new or gently used items, I mean, we would love to take them and put them for sale for our animals. But specifically, I would say furniture is usually our biggest need at our thrift stores.
Okay, cool. Do you want to touch on the, I'd written this down while we were talking. Do you want to touch on the pet therapy?
Yeah, that's a huge department at our shelter. It's a very important one. We go out to the community 7 days a week with our therapy dogs. We actually just recently got a therapy pig and a therapy skinny pig, which is actually mine. So my skinny pig just became a therapy pig with the Misty's pals. What a skinny pig is, it's a hairless pig, if anyone doesn't know what that is. They're really cool looking. But the majority of it, they're certified therapy dogs. And if anyone's interested and thinks they have a dog that might be a good fit for our pet therapy program, we can go through that process to get them all set up and eventually get them certified through our shelter. So what they would need to do is go to a basic obedience class. That's a 6-week class. And then meet with our pet therapy coordinator, and just, that's basically the next steps of being evaluated to see if they'd be a good fit. And once they do pass all of the classes, for to become a certified therapy dog. They can sign up to all these different things. So they can go to our events, they can go to assisted living centers, schools, hospitals. We have a courtroom where we have therapy dogs that sit with children while they have court cases going on. So literally 7 days a week, we're out there and we're just trying to go to all the different places. Yeah.
Is it involved at all with, because I know there are youth programs and educational programs that you all have.
Mm-hmm.
Are those intertwined at all, or are they kind of separate, or how does that work?
Yeah, we have specifically a Pause to Read program where our dogs go into schools and like libraries, and they sit with students that might have trouble reading, and those students read to the dogs
Hmm.
on a judgment-free zone. The dog's not going to correct what they're saying, so the dog's just going to sit with them,
Right. That's
build their
cool.
confidence, and let them read. And we do that every week, and it's really a wonderful program.
That's really cool. I didn't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably very helpful for kids, especially if they're like trying to get over a hurdle or get over that like initial fear of, like you said, judgment. And then you have
Yeah.
like a therapy dog
And
or someone in the, like, it's probably provides a lot of comfort.
yeah, we also have a lessons in kindness program where we go to schools and we teach the students about responsible pet ownership, because the majority of people that end up getting bit in the United States are children, because they don't realize that, you can't climb on a dog's back like a horse, things like that. So we bring our
Mhm.
therapy dogs to the schools and we teach them on how to properly introduce themselves to the dogs and how to care for the dogs, and then basically about animal welfare. So we're out there doing that, meeting with kids daily.
Awesome. Awesome. That's cool. That's a nice little list of things that I think a lot of people watching this will be introduced to a handful of very new things that they probably didn't realize they could either benefit from or recommend to others or help to support on their end.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Other than just, what animals they could adopt. But I should ask you, because I wanted to ask you this, and I'm glad it popped into my head. Are there any animals, dogs, cats, guinea pigs, rabbits, whatever, that you want to see adopted right now that you see maybe on a frequent basis, and you're like, wow, I really wish like Snowflake or whatever would find a home. They're perfect. They're awesome. They just need to find that family or
Yes. So, right off the top of my head, I have one dog and one cat. So, this one dog's been at our shelter for over 2 years. And I think the reason being is because he's not a fan of other dogs. And that's always the main reason why
Hmm.
dogs stay with us for so long. People just, they might they want to look for like the perfect dog. And so his name's Scooby. He's not perfect because he's not a fan of other dogs, but he's perfect in every other way. He's very well trained and obedient. He has lots of energy. He loves people. He's a very friendly, happy dog, but he prefers to be the only dog in the home. So he's been with us. Well, he's our longest term resident. He's been with us well over 2 years, and we just really want to find an adopter for him. And then there's a cat that just recently was returned to us, and her name is Ray, and she really pulls at my heartstrings because she's beautiful. She's like a gray Siamese-looking long-haired cat, but she's just very terrified. And she was returned for being too scared and hiding in the home. So really, we're
Mhm.
just looking for an adopter that is going to let her adjust on her own terms. She's very sweet, but she's very skittish and scared. So she's obviously, since she's skittish and
Yeah.
scared in a home, she's not doing well in the shelter. That's why I really want to see if we can get her out into a home where she can hide for a few months before coming out and visiting with her adopters.
Right. Yeah, I imagine getting acclimated. I mean, as if I could put myself in that cat's shoes, it's probably not as easy as, going home and getting ready for dinner.
Yeah, I mean, every animal's different. Some cats you can bring home and they just like are conquering the world the second you bring them to your house. And then some cats like Ray,
Yeah.
take a long time. They all have their own unique personalities.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
Well, is there anything else that you think you would want to touch on or share or maybe go deeper on before we kind of run out of time?
No, I think we went through pretty much everything, which is great.
Cool. Yeah, we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to be like 10 minutes in. We're like almost a half hour in. It went by quickly.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, good. Well, hopefully people get some value out of it. Hopefully they'll go in this. We'll link to the social media, the group you mentioned.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll even put a link if they're on your website to like Scooby and Ray or wherever people can go to like look at the adoptable animals on the website.
I can send you that. Yeah, I'll send you all the links. Mm-hmm. We have them.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, anything you want to send me, we'll put it in the description so people can see it. And maybe we'll do it again as you guys like post renovation and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait. Just the before and after is going to be amazing.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out on social media and share it when we see it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. I appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having us. I'm really excited to see it.
Same. Likewise.
That's a wrap for this episode of The Current by TreasureCoast.com. If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Follow us on social media or visit TreasureCoast.com for local events, tips, and news. Have a guest or topic you'd love to hear on the show? Let us know at TreasureCoast.com. Until next time, keep riding the current and enjoying everything the Treasure Coast has to offer. See you soon.